Okay, we will get to some more Vikings with Patrick here as we continue our week-long autopsy and look ahead. But if I called you, Patrick, let's say you were Danny Ainge and I am Tim Connolly, and I said, hey, Danny, trade deadline's coming up, and I got an idea.
Yes.
What if we gave you straight up Rudy Gobert and you give us straight up Walker Kessler? Who says no? Straight up.
Who says no? I know you who says no. Danny Ainge says no. Rudy doesn't do much when he plays, and he doesn't play that often. He's now hurt too. And he played 4 minutes last night and left with a bad knee. And this guy that we drafted gets 20 points and 21 rebounds. It's the horror show that this franchise has been. This might top Joe Smith, right? It might top Joe Smith.
Dude, it is. Don't forget the 4 assists as well for Walker Kessler.
Yes,
I believe that was also a career high.
I'm going to go back and check Joe Smith's stats because we might have got more out of Joe Smith than we're getting out of Rudy. And it's the damnedest thing of all time. It's only this franchise and this Connolly, if he's got any class. Last night he comes out, sits down at a post-game press conference and said something. I don't know what he says, but he has to stop hiding. He has to stop hiding. This guy, $8 million. That's the other half of it. You're paying $8 million a year for your general manager. You're paying him twice the going rate for the best in the league. The guy who did this is your genius that you gave a $40 million contract to be a general manager.
A guy that Glenn didn't even really know, too. That's the worst part.
God, people would love
Tim,
to
who?
play.
Well, no. Didn't A-Rod say that Glenn spearheaded this and we all followed him?
Yeah, right. Didn't Glenn? We're going to try to blame this on Glenn, though. I'm sure that is there anybody out there? Are there any remaining Timberwolves butt kissers? Is there anybody out there who still can defend this operation? Who can defend it?
I mean, I don't know how what is the defense? The only defense is hope, right? The only defense is, well, okay, maybe if Cat comes back, if they could get rid of D'Lo, it's all like future hypotheticals beyond the trade that you made that was supposed to be the final piece to the puzzle, right?
Well, the other thing is, they're gonna trade Cat this summer, but he's got to play between now and then, doesn't he? He's got to play like 5 games. I mean, it's strained calf. I mean, how can you expect a guy to come back from that in less than 3 months?
Well, could you also? This is crazy. Could you also make a case that they are better off, just with how tangled this mess is, that they would be better off going forward, trading D'Lo before the winter trade deadline here, just to get rid of the expiring contract, get an asset for him before he becomes a free agent, and exploring trading both Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert for whatever you can get, and just go with the young nucleus of Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid plays his ass off.
Yeah, because you gotta. Here's the part of it is Noel and Reed are both free agents. You're going to have to pay them, and they might not be able to pay them because they got all these cap problems because they got Cat, and Cat's making himself impossible to trade, isn't he? And you're going to get anything for him? What are you going to get for him?
If he comes back for a couple months even and plays his ass off.
Does something.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're almost to February at this point.
That's an if at this point.
I'm trying to think. This is what?
Unprecedented?
This is like Halloween. This is like the movie Halloween. You think you got a nice brother, and he turns out he's killing everybody in the neighborhood. It's unbelievable.
So how about this, Pat? Walker Kessler. If I had told you before the season, hey, all right, the Wolves' biggest problems are rim protection and rebounding, right? So let's go fix those things. And they're going to have a player on their team that per 36 minutes averages 14 points, 13 rebounds, and almost 4 blocks on 72% shooting. For $2 million, you would have said, "Whoa, that's what a fix!" It's amazing.
Yeah. Boy, what a great trade they had. They were 19 and they moved. They got 2 draft choices and they went to 22 and they got this guy. What a pickup! And he's got Minnesota roots. We love him. He's great. He's it's unbelievable. I'm trying to figure. I want to write something, but I want it to be completely hysterical. I want it to be like, not hysterical funny, like hysterical reaction to go to Kansas City. We don't care. Buy the team. Leave. Now we got our new administration that all you guys wanted, and they're worse. They're worse. This is the worst thing that ever happened. This is it.
How? And also, I think. Know. And again, I was a staunch defender. I thought, well, here's my logic when it happened. And of course, I always lean staunch defense of Timberwolves first. It's my one flaw. But when it happened, I thought, okay, from a basketball perspective, I'll trust Chris Finch and those guys, But you wouldn't get a job, a high-profile job that doubles your salary in a situation, by the way, that the team's coming off a playoff appearance.
Yes, and a lot of enthusiasm. Right.
You could run it back and have a bunch of cap space in the summer of 2023, and nobody would have been mad if they said, "Let's run this thing back and see what happens." And so to say, despite that cushy first year option, we're going to make the splashiest trade in recent NBA history with full confidence, like a month into the tenure. I thought, well, I mean, who would do something like that if they weren't 100% sure that this was going to work, right?
And meanwhile, to our east, Cleveland is getting their other star player for less, and he's great. Mitchell, he gets 100 points. It's unbelievable. It's unfathomable. I was watching the game yesterday and saying, this can't be true. This can't be happening to this collection. And I'll give people credit. Some of them are showing up to games this year. The crowds aren't horrible. The people are showing up. But how can you not hate this franchise? How can you not hate it? You gotta hate it.
I think Anthony Edwards is the reason people show up. I think Anthony Edwards is the reason people maintain hope.
I also think that people, for the most part, Pat, for so long had checked out that they're dipping back in now, and then they will just check out.
Yeah.
I don't think the Wolves inspire hate because the Wolves have been were so bad for so long. I think people just quit and ignored them completely.
That's true. But the thing about it is, when they're in the midst of doing something promising, they give an under the table deal to a terrible player, Joe Smith, and cost them draft choices. And then when they're in the midst of doing something else, they trade 5 number 1 draft choices for a statue. It's unbelievable.
It's a nice looking statue, though. I mean, he's an attractive man, so that's the good part.
He's a statue, and he's a 30-year-old statue, and he keeps telling us, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." We just hit the halfway
Frankenstein.
Point. We just hit the halfway point. Cat doesn't care if he ever plays again. Russell, you still got Russell. Oh God.
You know what it is, Pat? Denver planted Conley here. It was all a great ruse, a scheme by Denver to sabotage the Wolves. They made no attempt to keep him and said, "Go screw them up."
The Packers planted Donatel, and the Nuggets planted Tim Conley.
Yeah, hey, that's true. I never thought of the Donatel part. Oh man, it's this is like, atom bomb in the middle of this franchise that this kid comes in and goes 20-21 against you.
Did you see, on top of all this, did you see D'Angelo Russell's quotes to Yahoo a few days ago?
No.
Okay.
I guess I saw a version of them, but I did not see the whole thing.
So I'll just pull you one of them here. So this is D'Angelo Russell is no stranger to trade chatter. Quote, "You either take advantage of me and my ability or bleep up the opportunity with me. It's as simple as that," Russell told Yahoo Sports.
Oh, God. Hey, the other thing about Kessler last night, did you see, not the last time down the court, but the previous time down the court, Edwards started coming toward the basket, and he just had to retreat because he never retreats, but he wanted to get to the basket, but he was afraid of that big galoot was going to block the shot, so he had to retreat, get rid of the ball. They wouldn't take him on. It was Rudy who would have taken him on.
And the best part about it is, if because he's a rookie and he's making $2.5 million.
Yes.
If there are certain games where it makes sense for him to maybe not play or play 10 minutes instead of 30 minutes, it's very easy to say with no pushback from anyone, hey, this isn't really a Walker Kessler game. You'll play a little bit, but we don't have to worry. It's really hard to do that with Rudy and Karl Anthony Towns to say, this isn't really a Rudy game, so we're not gonna play you.
What is with the calf strains, by the way? What is it? I've never heard of calf strains costing you months. Don't tell me it's a strain. Tell me it's broken. Tell me it's a fibula that's broken, that we're gonna have to give you a new limb or some damn thing. What the hell? Has he even worked out yet? God.
Well, and Jordan McLaughlin's been out for the same amount of time with a calf strain, basically, right? Like a month and a half.
You know what he needs? You know what we need over there? They need the Twins training staff, the one that Scott Boras is so impressed with, the one that
the doctors who just say, go for it.
Just clear them.
Right.
You're good. Chris Paddock, you're good.
Let's meld these two together and really, since they're right next to each other, maybe they can share training and medical staffs. It's worked out so damn well.
Dragging their legs around.
Yeah, man alive. Unbelievable. What a week here in Minnesota. Thank God we got the Wild. And the Gopher hockey, men's hockey.
Well,
we're not even going to get into the Gopher men's basketball team. Boy, that one game rise didn't last too long. They were horrible last night. But let's talk about it.
Let me ask you another, since we're making you play general manager here, all right? Let's say the young Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, first year on the job, right? Going into his second year. Let's say, we'd like a little veteran wisdom here. Who can we tap into? Let's bring Patrick Royce in as a consultant. What are 2 or 3 recommendations as we go into the free agent draft season for the Vikings front office from you?
Well, everybody's talking about a rebuild, but I don't think it has to be a rebuild.
It can be a competitive rebuild.
Yeah, you're still in the NFC North. Let's not panic about the Lions. The Lions had a good year, but they're still the Lions. The Packers now have complete chaos, and the Bears are the Bears. So you're still, you're not going to be 13-4, but 10-7 is going to be good enough to win the division. So, you're going to have to get rid of some people, and you're going to have to get younger. You're going to have to make some decent decisions defensively. You got to clear up enough cap space so you can get a big time linebacker, safety. You need a big time defender to come in here and, that they can kind of revolve that defense around. But the guy's got to be 27 or 8. He can't be 32 either. So, I don't know who's on the free agent market, who you could get in, which position. I'm not enough of an expert to see is it a guy in the middle? Is it a linebacker? What do they need the most?
They have 2 ancient linebackers.
Yes.
that are both probably going to be gone, right, Judd?
Yeah.
Probably another edge guy, preferably, or a defensive, or a big guy again at like nose tackle.
You got to figure out. I mean, you got to. I think the first thing is if you're keeping Hunter, you got to go back to a 4-3. I think, and put him on the end and play like. Forget this nonsense. Just because it's hard for me, we got to play against a 3-4. You got to put Hunter back where he belongs, and I don't know. That's you need cornerbacks too, don't you? I mean, Peterson was, for all his talk and chatter, he's chasing 15 yards behind guys across the field, and I guess they drafted these two guys last year, a safety and a cornerback, and we haven't seen them. But yeah, they got to spend a lot of money on a big time defender, and somebody you can revolve around, I would say. There's hope here because the offensive line still has a chance to be pretty good, I think. Bradbury might leave, but you can get a center. But you got the two tackles if you can get them healthy, and you got tackles, and you got one guard, Cleveland, and the two when you got two tackles like that, you should be able to run the ball a little and get one more offensive lineman and try it again, and maybe in a little different style. But you still got Jefferson, and if second receiver wouldn't be bad either, would it?
No, you don't have a number 2 receiver right now. You did bring up one of my favorite things though that teams do. You mentioned that Kevin O'Connell. Hey, it's hard for me to play against this scheme, so let's go. Do you remember when the Twins left-handed hitters did that like 12 years ago? They went to the front office and said, hey, we're looking for some lefty relievers in free agency. Jason Kubel, Justin Morneau, who are some tough lefties that you struggle with? And I think they gave a few names, but one of the names they gave the front office was, boy, that Dusty Hughes is tough to pick up.
Dusty Hughes. Yeah.
9.95 ERA in 2011 with the Twins, never pitched in the major leagues again.
Well, it's, I don't know. You got to go back and say, what was it? Well, also you got to go back and look at your draft, right? What are we? That's
the other thing.
Let's get a little better. Let's get a little better in the draft here, boys. Come on. Let's get somebody who can. Let's get some fellas who can play here in the draft. They only have 4 draft choices, which I actually kind of like. I'd rather have 4 than 15. Like they have with Spielman with the 6th and 7th rounders. Get 4 good players. Come on, where are they? These are what?
Well, they have 1 in the top 90, and then they have 3 after that.
But none of these are 6 and 7s, right? That's what counts. If they never have another 6th or 7th round draft choice, it'll be too soon for me. So
I think it's
He'll find some, Patrick. He'll find some. He'll trade for some. Don't worry about it.
Hey, is Adolfo, is Kwesi going to come out of hiding here? Is he going to do a press conference this week?
Supposedly tomorrow, O'Connell and Kwesi are going to address
side by side
media. Probably, yeah. Kwesi, since the whole thing went down where Kwesi was quoted as poking at Kirk a little bit, he is just, I think he's talked like once.
That was the end of July. I looked it up. It was like July 23rd.
And it was in June that he did it.
Was it June? I thought it was July.
I think it was published in July right before camp, but he talked to the person in June.
Okay. Yeah, he went into hiding, man. He's I'm not out there, but everybody, I never see anything from him. I never see anybody quoting him on anything.
He was requested several times and was not available to comment.
Wow.
So you are right.
That has to be his decision. It can't be anybody else's, right? It has to be his decision that he's not going to come out in public because he was treated so unkindly the last time. Guess what? That happened when you're the analyst back in your office there doing all your computer work. People don't ask to interview you, Kwesi. But when you're running the operation, you have a responsibility to talk to the public through the media. You have that responsibility.
How about a Bally Sports North special with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Tim Connolly? Let's get them all. All right, come on. A little townhouse or town square, whatever you call it. A townhouse. A town square and a townhouse.
With townhouse
up next on Bally's.
On Bally's.
Who are we going to get? Which one of the Bally's is going to put Tim Connolly up against the wall and ask him the tough questions.
Well, they do have that like Wolves podcast, right? Doesn't Marnie do a Wolves podcast where they kind of pull back the curtain on family and life and stuff? We could do that and then maybe squeeze a question in toward the end if there's enough time about the
here's
Gobert
what you
trade.
do, though. Coming up next, Tim Connolly, and then you show Walker Kessler highlights before the interview, right?
No, if I'm Tim Connolly, I'm happy with my ability to identify great big men in the draft.
You had a great draft. You're right.
You're giving me some good ideas for tomorrow. I'm going to.
Yeah, you should talk about how great of a draft mastermind Tim Connolly is for identifying Walker Kessler.
I said that on Twitter today. Judd said the same thing. He said, boy, he'd trade a bunch of guys to get this Walker Kessler.
Yeah, this would be a great. I'd give up Gobert and draft picks. Is that possible?
How about the end of his quotes? How about the nice, he must be a nice kid. At the end of his quotes, he says, I enjoyed my time with the Timberwolves or something like 2 days.
The press conference.
He did a press conference, right?
Yeah. They brought him in for a press conference. He loved it. The people were very nice.
Well, I tracked down the Redwood Falls. You know, his grandfather was a great athlete at Redwood Falls and played basketball for the Gophers and was Jay Kessler, well-known Southern Minnesota athlete. And I talked to a bunch of Redwood, because Redwood Falls had an incredible group of athletes, about 3 different Gophers that were on the one of them was Jimmy Cairns was a running back on the Rose Bowl teams, and Jay Kessler was a basketball player for the Gophers, and they had a couple other guys. I had all this stuff. They traded him, before the ink was. I don't think I even wrote it. So unbelievable.
Amazing.
How can this? I just can't get my head around how this can happen to them, though. How can this be true?
They had two. They to boil it down, they had 2 options. So we have a good thing here. Okay, we have a playoff team and some. Okay, we can do nothing, or we can do something. Doing nothing would have led to better results, probably. Like they would have gotten better. And they decide to.
You didn't have to make this big of a trade to get rid of Malik. You could have gotten rid of Malik some other way, right? You didn't need this trade. Yeah. And I'd rather a hell of a lot, rather have a couple of their. Oh God, unbelievable!
Amazing.
If you go
what
to
a franchise!
You know what? If you go to a Timberwolves game, you're a warrior. you're a damn loyal, tremendous human being. Even if they're free tickets, if you go to one of their games and stay with them and walk around with a Timberwolves hat on, you're a warrior. I'll tell you that. You should be congratulated for your stupid loyalty. You should be congratulated.
All right, Pat, we'll catch you later this week.
What a week here in Minnesota sports. When do the Wild play so we can watch somebody
tonight?
Win? Tonight. All right, go Wild. See you later.
All right, we'll see you, Pat. Let's go get that town hall. A shout out, by the way, to our friends at St. Thomas. St. Thomas men's basketball is rolling. Come see the Tommies as they push to the top of the Summit League. $15 tickets to see St. Thomas battle South Dakota State on Thursday, and then South Dakota on Saturday. Go to TommySports.com to buy tickets. The best value in town. Division I basketball. You can find all those games too on 1500 ESPN radio in the Twin Cities. That's Rapping with Royce.